guys, how's it going? It is hold on a second here. Hey guys, how's it going? It is, tried taking this a few times here. August 30, 2017, 6:08 p.m. I just posted a message over at Railroad Transportation Simulator. I've also put this in the forum here. I've been very brief about it, and it just basically reads, I'm not going to go into too much details here yet, and I'm talking about the forum. I'd rather let my voice tell the story. I promise to get right to the point, start tonight's video. I'm going live now at 6:07 p.m., which now is 6:08 or whatever time it is now. It should be available on YouTube later this evening. The bottom line is I need to know how much worth I truly have in continuing to do things for other people, because I need to start doing more for myself. Sounds pretty selfish, huh? Yeah, this site, well, actually, this has been the, there's the banner that's on my YouTube as well right now. But the wiki has been around, I'm not too sure, honestly, been around 2 years. I've had other sites, various websites or whatever prior to that. But the RTS has been in place for a little over 5 years now. It started just before, a few months prior to, at least a few months prior to Run 8 coming out. We just passed the 5-year anniversary of it. And I don't know what the hell that was, but I'm getting out of there because it'll get me for all kinds of crazy things. So YouTube has changed. I mean, things change. That's the bottom line. YouTube has decided to change today because they got looks like they got a new format here. Other than censoring quite a bit. Well, at least they have. I haven't seen too much of the censoring, at least on my end, but there's a lot of censoring going on. It's pretty pathetic. So I guess they're trying to trendy things up a little bit. Used to have a side window, now it's a little wider. Kind of nice, which is nice, but I spend way too much time on YouTube. I don't know where to go here. Here, let's go. We'll go with something like that, and I'll leave that as a background. This is more of, I'm not going to go too long about it. I'm just going to, as I promised, I do want to get to the point of what the hell this is all about. And I don't know why I have YouTube in the background. I don't know what else to put in the background besides my desktop at this point. Because I got no images to show, I've got no trains to show, because I'm not running Run 8 at this point. Or at least at this moment, let's say. So, what's happening? First of all, RTS 2 will, at some point, come to life, I would imagine. When that is, I have no idea. Who creates it, I have no idea. It could be me, it could be Ski, it could be anybody. Maybe it won't be called RTS 2, but something will be there. I'm not worried about it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've gotten to that point right now. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't matter to me. It's been an interesting, actually, you know, I've seen some of this coming for the past 2 years, but I'm starting to see it. A lot of things have happened this year in particular, and really this past, I would say since last Friday, something started clicking, and I think I finally figured out what exactly it is. And it's that boredom is starting to set in, but it sets in at weird times. It sets in it sets in when, oddly enough, when I have the most energy or want to give the most energy. That's where it sets in the most, which is strange because, I mean, if you're tired, I guess. But what I need to know, and this is the bottom line that really that I need everybody. I've got 300 some odd subscribers. I thank you all for subscribing on my YouTube channel. I put out probably a video on average maybe 5 times a week, per se, maybe 4, you know, minimum 3, but I usually do about, you know, on average about 5 videos a week. They're normally live streams, which I know from my own experience, and this is part of the thought process that's going through. I know from my own experience, watching a video for 4 hours is very difficult. I tried doing that the other night when I was bored. I tried looking at other people's live streams. And I get bored in 20-minute videos sometimes if the content's not interesting enough for me. I mean, I can look, like, say what's on my screen right now. I can pick and choose what I might be interested in some small videos and say, okay, well, that's fine. But I've been getting bored of YouTube lately. Suddenly, you know, I don't need to follow every single video. I mean, I like Ron Paul, I really do. That's why I've subscribed to him. And there's times where I watch it, but most of what he's talking about, I mean, Hurricane Harvey, okay. A lot of talk going on about Hurricane Harvey. Have barely paid attention to it. Barely. What can I do to do anything to help or educate others or do anything about Hurricane Harvey? I can't do a damn thing. Do I know it's a disaster? Yeah. Is it the worst of all time? No. That's pretty big. And people's lives are affected, and yeah, I feel for these people, but guess what? I gotta live my life too. So there's a lot of issues in this world. I can't be there to, you know, I can emphasize for some people, etc. But anyways, I'm getting a little off the main focus here. What I want to know from my community, be it the RTS forum, be it my YouTube channel, I need to know what RTS means to you. I need to know, and this isn't an ego trip. This is kind of putting, this is the one chance I'm giving people to sell me on my own stuff. Sounds goofy, huh? Like, whoa, wait, what are you saying? People have to sell it to me? Yeah, people have to sell it to me. You guys have to let me know how much. And this, like I said before, it's not an ego thing. I don't need to be told how great I am like some people who, you know, put up massive forums and have great 24/7 servers and then decide suddenly because of personal conflicts or whatever, decide go hit the bush and go do other things. I'm not leaving Run 8. I'm just not doing what I'm going to be doing. The RTS Wiki is going to still exist. I have no reason to take it down. In fact, I will follow it. But right now it's pretty dead because nothing's happening. We have one server. Unfortunately, that server gets about 6 people on it. 6 people who are dedicated to it. And I feel bad for that, but there's nothing I can, there's really at this point nothing I can do about it. I like I said, there's only so many things I can do. We lack a main California server. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nobody interested in a Selkirk Mohawk server. There's nothing I can do about it. Run 8 gives you 3 routes. Could we use more? Could we use editors? Yeah, maybe it'll come. I don't know. There's nothing I can do about it. There's only, what I can do is I can program. Okay. Tell me. I want to really know, and I'm not talking about the you know, oh, this would be kind of cool. I'd like to see how, you know, no. I don't want to know people who yeah, no, yes, I do want to know what people who support me. I get it. You know, I know my subscribers. I think I know my base, and what I'm looking for here is number one, I want to know how many people, guys, I can think of Mikey, for example. He watches some of my videos, and he says it's tough to watch the whole thing a lot of times. So I understand that. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to spend the time to use an editor, a long time ago I decided, you know, I don't have the time to do editing, which is basically taking the good parts of the videos, putting it all together, and making it a nice little package. There was a time where I used to have to do it because you had to stay within the 15 minutes. Well, then I expanded that, and then I finally found how to do live streams, and that changed everything because now it wasn't about topics. It wasn't about making a recording and uploading it. It was about, here I am, this is what I'm doing, like me or don't me, or don't like it, or like me or don't like. Okay. Well, so much for that damn live stream. I don't know what's going on with this. And all of a sudden I heard a beep and I'm like, bling! And it's like, boom, it's gone. I don't usually have internet issues, so suddenly I have an important video I want to do, and blonk, I hear a bling. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I don't know what's going to come to YouTube now. I have no idea. Will they splice it together? Will they put it in 3 different videos? I don't know. Stupid internet. But anyways, so I don't know what I was saying something that seemed important or whatever, and then all of a sudden I heard a blink. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? So yeah, I mean, I can, like, as I was saying before, I like Ron Paul. I can look at his videos, but you know, what am I supposed to do about it? I'll check YouTube later on, at least to try and parse through and see what's going on. But see, I don't want to do that kind of crap. All I want to do is say what I have to say, let you guys know what I'm thinking, let you guys know what I'm doing. I would love to be able to simply broadcast and let you run shotgun while I really do something. Like here's something I would love to do, and that is simply put the music stream on, listen to some good rock music, because that'll get me motivated at least, or at least something to, you know, instead of hearing myself think. Sometimes hearing myself talk helps. It helps motivate me, if that makes sense. So I was looking really forward to doing this day. No, I wasn't looking forward to running Florida. Not today. Monday I was. There's some days I do and there's some days I don't, and it's becoming one of these things where I don't need it as much as I used to. I know that. I know it in my heart of hearts. I don't need this as much as I used to, because it's becoming stale. Even when Florida expanded with Waycross, and I was excited about it, do I want to go through all the complexity of programming RTS2? Do I want to put pressure? That's the problem, is I put too much pressure on myself. And I'm noticing it. And I'm catching it now. I really and truly am. Let me work backwards. Okay, and I'll show you how I got to this realization, because I really and truly finally figured it out today. Today was the first full day of what started on Friday as hell at work. Not hell, but it really, there was a lot of fires, there was a lot of BS going on. I love my job, but there was a lot of stuff that was coming down on me. Some of it not quite fair. Had nothing to do with anybody that works with me in the office, but there was a lot of stuff that was coming down, and it was, I mean, I had 3 trucks, then suddenly, I think it was yesterday morning, I had a 4th truck suddenly, and there should have been only 2 trucks at the time, but all of a sudden I was cleaning up, basically firefighting, and is the term I like to use, like putting out fires, in other words, major issues. And then suddenly I'm all over the place, and I can't even get my normal work done. Today was the first full day that I actually had peace of mind. I wasn't venting. I wasn't venting about what was going on. I wasn't, frustrated. I wasn't, and that's how it kind of really played. Now, I started feeling towards the end yesterday. I finally got through things. It was a horrible start to the morning. I was still ticked off, and then suddenly I was able to get through it all. And I went from what was a very tough Friday and Monday to finally the shipping was down. I was able to get through it. And then suddenly today was a day that was very peaceful. And when my mind's at ease, especially when I'm not thinking about work, this is what happens. And I'll tell you my typical day. This is my typical day. Today was a typical day. It's not there's sometimes there's rougher days, sometimes there's even lighter days. Today was a typical day. I had what my typical day of work. And I'm going to tell you some stories tonight because I think I owe people enough to let you know why I'm doing the things I'm doing and what it means. Like I said before, RTS is not dead. I'm still going to be around Run 8. I need to make changes now. But let me just go through the changes. And that's why I wanted to get to the point. I wanted to get to Okay, what is going on? I don't know what's going on with this internet. Like, my internet should be fine. This has got to be stupid ass YouTube. Holy cripe. They're gonna splice up my videos all over the damn place. And unfortunately there's nothing I can do about it. Like, I got what looks to be pretty good speed here. I'm just going to go ahead and watch this video here. I'm just going to keep that up right there so I can monitor and see what's going on. See if I notice any speed drops or anything strange. That way, I could just see. Okay, anyways, I was talking about my typical day, so I don't know. This thing keeps on disconnecting for some stupid reason. Maybe I'll even go so far as to put that up there. And yeah, there's a delay. I want to see if the network, if it is my network or if it's actually YouTube. I got a funny feeling it's YouTube. We'll leave it there and see what happens. So, it says I'm live again. I was talking about what my typical day is and how today was rather typical. It was peaceful. I work for I guess I would say what I consider, I don't know, but I would say consider a major food processing supplier out of Niagara Falls, Ontario. And I've been there now for, let's see, May, June, July, August, 1 year, 4 months now. It's turning into probably the best job I've had in my life. The best job I ever had in my life up to that point was one that was 5 or 6, but I would say this job's better. I had lasted at that job for 5 or 6 years before they got taken over by a corporate conglomerate and downsized and did all kinds of goofy things that I just wanted out. So yeah, I would say this job is definitely the best job I've had. It took me 10 years to get back to a job I liked. And perhaps this is what's giving me the peace of mind to really start using my energy, because I'm not exhausted at night. I'm not in a commute. But anyways, let me talk about today. Tuesday. Wednesday. Sorry. I'll get my days right. Today's Wednesday. Let me talk about my Wednesday. My typical day basically starts with what I left off the day prior, which is usually a customs clearance that I do myself, and I'll get to that in a bit. but it's a list of parts for vegetable mainly vegetable processing machineries. So stuff places like definitely frozen foods, and I'm talking about major stuff. Like stuff in Canada, like McCain's, Cavendish, Frito Lay. Um, I'm trying to think of some of the more major ones. See, I go by numbers. I don't see names so much as I do numbers. So everything's a code number to me. Um, but those are a few of the big ones that I can think of. Like Simplot's another one that I can think of offhand. There's minor ones. There's major and minor ones. But anyways, those are the ones that come to mind. So I bring these parts back. We actually sell machines. It's been the company's been around for 3 generations, and the fourth generation, family owned. The fourth generation is there now, and he's his name's Nick, and he's a salesman there. And he's younger than me, and hopefully he'll be president eventually, because that'll mean that I have a job for life, and that's very important to me. I hope that's all. I can only hope for these things to go the way and outside forces in the world. These things will happen. I'll have that job for life. I won't feel that I need to retire at 65. If I feel I need more time, 67, I guess, is the retirement age now. But so I go across, and um right at, a little after 8:30. If all went well the night before, I would have already just, like today, I didn't get my customs cleared. That's because of uh food inspection agency thing that requires another clearance to come through overnight. And then tomorrow morning, provided I have that, in about 5 or 10 minutes after I arrive, I basically take my paperwork, my customs clearance, my manifest, and I head over from Niagara Falls, Ontario to Niagara Falls, New York, where we pick up all the various suppliers, the U.S. suppliers we import from the States. I cross over. I'm in a van. Company van, of course. I cross over. It takes me roughly just under 2 hours, give or take. Just under 2 hours it takes. I'm there. I'm in the United States for about 1 hour, almost to the minute, usually, and it takes me about 2 hours. So I work an 8-hour shift. I get 1 hour lunch. I have 7 hours of work. So that's my 8:30, and that goes usually takes me all the way to 10:30, give or take, depending upon traffic at the bridge and other factors and who knows what else. Um, I can get really delayed. Usually doesn't get much earlier than 10:15 at the most, and usually by then I just kind of take my time because I need to hit the post office in Canada on the way back. So if I'm going too fast, I just slow down a tiny bit. Not because I'm lazy, but just because I need to hit the post office. They have to have time to sort and everything. So I basically just, you know phase it out. Most times though, I can just go at my normal pace. Nobody's there, with a whip behind me telling me to work faster or anything like that. I do the best I can do, and I believe my colleagues appreciate me. I believe uh, the owners appreciate. That's very important to me. That's important. So the good part about this job is it's a little varied. This is when I get outside the office. I get to go drive. I love driving. I love doing delivery, this kind of delivery work. And it's not as much delivery as I've had in the past, which I also enjoy. However, it's just enough to get me out of the office out into, gets a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of fresh air or whatever. Well, normally I have the air conditioning on in the summer, and I'm not a big fan of of bees and all that other stuff, and I don't want them in my van. So usually most times I got the air conditioning on until the last frost when I know the bees are dead. Then if you have a warm day, I'll put the windows down a little bit, as long as the bees don't come back, because I don't want bees in my. I don't like them. Phobia would be. But I get to drive along one of the two most scenic drives in North America, I would say. You have the Niagara Parkway in Canada, and then you have the U.S., um, what used to be called the Robert Moses Parkway. Oddly enough, as great as the Niagara Parkway is in Canada, and if you've driven it from Fort Erie all the way to Niagara on the Lake, it is one of the most scenic drives. You get to see the Upper Niagara River. You get to go past right beside the falls, and you keep following it, and then it'll take you to Niagara on Lake. There's a cool spot at Queenston, and oddly enough, I cross at Queenston. The Queenston Lewiston Bridge is where I cross both ways. But there's a cool spot if you don't cross at the Queenston Lewiston Bridge, which also has a great vista. That's the one. The Rainbow Bridge is a great bridge to see the falls. I've been on it a few times, but I like the view from the Queenston Lewiston Bridge. But anyways, if you don't have a chance to get on the Queenston Lewiston Bridge, just past on Queenston, there's this great place where you can get the same vista from the Queenston Lewiston Bridge. Actually, there's a few places. You can look down the hydro stations on both sides, U.S. and Canada, are there. And then there's a view of the lower Niagara River, and on most clear days you can see Toronto right across. Even though Toronto is a little over an hour away from where I am, hour and a half from Niagara Falls, you can see Toronto because Toronto is a lot closer. And that's what they call the Golden Horseshoe, because it's right across Lake Ontario, the width of Lake Ontario, and there it is. You can see the dome, you can see the CN Tower, you can see a lot of the buildings, no problem. So it's well within visible range, and most clear days you can see it fine. Anyways, it's a very peaceful journey. Once you customs, I used to get, before I got this job, I used to be a little nervous about going through customs. This job has really taught me that. And I wasn't nervous because I had something to hide or anything like that. I was just nervous because it can be intimidating. But this job has really taught me not to be intimidated by customs. They're just doing their job, and some of them are a little tougher, some of them are having hard days, some of them are just have different personalities, and some of them are really cool. I get combinations of all of them still, and no matter what it is, I just do my job, or I have a nice time, and shoot the breeze with a lot of them, because a lot of them I know. I see them on a regular basis. So we were talking about the solar flares the other day, or not the solar flares. Sorry, we're talking about the eclipse. I was talking to a lady on the U.S. side the other day. I talk more with the U.S. people. It's kind of strange because I'm not basically I got nothing to declare, so all I got is my passport. But anyways, yeah, we'll just shoot the shit. Everything's it's mostly pretty cool, and they have a job to do, and there's times where I have to go through an X-ray. That's just random. It's not because they can, but if the computer tells me or they tell us that I have to go over to X-ray, I got to go over to X-ray. I get paid hourly, no big deal. Kind of slows me down on days when I'm really busy, but anyways, that's okay. I don't get paid by the mile. So I have to go through X-ray. I got to go through X-ray. There's been a couple times where I've had an inspection. Not a big deal. Don't get into trouble. There's been times where, things where the paperwork was a little bit screwed up, and, I heard it on the Canadian side one time from a few people, and, I just take it in stride. No big deal. And the lesson to be learned there is don't screw up the paperwork. So, I don't screw up the paperwork anymore. I haven't screwed up the paperwork probably since last year. So I'm pretty good at that. I know the ins and outs. I'm seasoned enough to know what the hell I'm doing. That feels good to know. Feels good to know that I can handle anything on this job too. I can handle really bad weeks. I can handle, I know when to vent. I know what, it's really cool. But anyways, if I need the time to vent, good time to vent is then because I can. I'm all alone in the vehicle. It's just me for at least, an hour or two away from the office. If I want to vent, I vent. Great time to vent. But most times I'm not venting because I'm pretty happy. Most days I'm pretty happy. Uh, the weeks go by quick, my weekends go by quick. And this is where I usually start thinking about my personal life, my hobbies, because I drive along, like I said, it's a scenic parkway. And I take the Robert Moses going into Niagara Falls, New York. I actually take a different way coming back just because I'm loaded commercially, and you're not supposed to have commercial vehicles on the parkway. So I end up taking a different way going back. But this is the one view that I really enjoy because you don't see there's parts where you see the gorge, there's parts where you actually see the falls itself. Canadian side, because you can actually see it pass over some both the current Amtrak trestle. So I call it the Amtrak trestle because that's the only thing that goes over it is the Maple Leaf now. There's no other trains that go over it, and then the old Michigan Central Bridge, which is now gone. Like I said before, things change, and unfortunately, that's a railroad I miss. Last trains to run there was CP Hamilton Sub, and boy, would it be fun to have been around to do that when to do this job and see those trains back then. It would have been fun. I get to see a CSX switcher once in a while, but other than that, I really don't see anything. I'll be by. I'll look the other way and look in the yard, and I'll see a CSX switcher, and sometimes he runs down a branch line nearby. But anyways, it gives me time to think, and this is when I start thinking about what am I going to do tonight. What am I gonna what's on my mind? What am I gonna tell my viewers? What is it that I really want to accomplish? Because those are the fun things. Those are the things that aren't just part of my, it has nothing to do with my job, but have to do with my passions. What do I want to accomplish? What goals do I have? What would I like to do? What would I like to take on? So those are the kind of things that usually go on in my mind. Well, today was one of the days where I realized, things were starting to make sense for me. And I'll get to that in a moment. But anyways, like I said, typically, then I come back and I have all the stuff. I unload I load. Once I get over there, I load everything up. I check the another postal outlet coming on the way back. Declare my customs paperwork. If everything's good, boom, there I go. Go through the electronic tolls. Get back to work. Back into my my shipping dock. Unload everything to the cart that I put there in the morning. I forgot to mention that I put a cart out of our dock in the morning, so that makes it a little bit quicker. Today I actually had a 167-pound wire mesh, uh, which was it's I can't courier that, put it that way. So taking it out of a van, our dock is stationary at 40 inches above the ground. It's a little difficult to do, but it gives me a little bit of a workout, but I manage. Yeah, I wouldn't want to push too much more than that. Most things can weigh as little as 1 pound. Um, we sometimes will get like 600 pounds. There's something over there that's 100 and is that 300 and some odd pounds. Well, that I have to set up a truck shipment for tomorrow. I have to go look at that. No big deal. I know how to handle it. Um, and then we've got the machines. But anyways, get to that in a minute. Um, so And it's all about the machines. That's the driver. That's where the big money is. The big money for their sales. The parts just keeps on. It's just an added revenue stream that keeps coming in. Parts because knives are the biggest thing. Everything needs knives because you're cutting and chopping and dicing and doing all kinds. I mean, we have all kinds of. We're not talking about your standard food processor, commercial, or your the stuff that you get in your home. I'm not talking about this stuff. This is production line stuff. This is big companies, and I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that logistics chain. I'm a bit, I'm replaceable, but I'm a big part of that logistics chain because I'm the one that brings it in. Everybody who works where I work are a big part of something. We only have a company of 12 people. So for me to be one of those 12 people I consider myself to be very privileged, especially to land this job. Despite even the bad weeks or the bad day I had Friday and, Monday and just finally settled down yesterday. Despite that's something that I feel privileged to be part of. So, anyways, I go on to what is it? Let me think now. I moved on from there. I unload the truck, and then it's usually a toss up between, depending upon how much I have to ship. I usually ship certain couriers first or get the shipping set up for those. We have several couriers, your standard UPS, Canpar, FedEx, Purelator, that kind of thing. So we set up all that, and I'll have an order, which I do, but then I also, right around the time I get back, the next day's FedEx and UPS on the American side shows up. So if there's a rush and I know it's coming, I have to clear it the night prior. And if it's a standard today, there's no rushes. But if it was a rush, that would be something that I would have to not only get what was there the day prior, but I would have to go in and wait for. Well, I don't have to wait at this time of year. I don't have to wait. Coming around Christmas season, I usually have to wait because the couriers become a lot slower because they got all kinds of presents to deliver from Amazon and all over the place, right? Because it's all, we're talking commercial stuff, and yeah, it just gets a little. It can be a little crazy. Sometimes you can wait up to 11:30 in the morning. Sometimes this is when it gets a little bizarre sometimes, especially when they have the next, what they call the FedEx next day airs or the UPS next day airs. But so yeah, I get back, and that's when I get the list of what is to be cleared the next day. I match it up with the invoices. I usually don't clear until the afternoon. I get a 1 hour lunch every day, an unpaid 1 hour lunch. I'm there 8 hours, but I only work 7, which means I only work 35 hours a week, which is a little tough on me. That part's a little tough. Because it's not the 37 and a half, it's not the 40. I mean, in some places I worked 50, but the thing is, I'm refreshed. I think it's a good work-life balance. It's not too bad. Most of all, I get to, in most weather conditions, if it's not too hot or not too cold or rainy or whatever, I can go out and I walk for half an hour. I eat my lunch, watch a little bit of not YouTube, watch. I check a little bit of like Breitbart and various other information sources that I consider reliable or whatever. I'll check various others. I'll check my email. I'll do all kinds of things. But I'll do that while I'm eating lunch. You know, talk with another friend in the office there. He's usually in. He eats his lunches inside just like me. And then I'll usually go for a walk for that last half hour, back in at 1, and then I'm either finishing up the shipping. Usually I'm finishing up the shipping, and then I'm starting preparing for clearing the shipments for the following day. And that's where I basically I take that list, I match the invoices if I hadn't done them already in the morning. I already send my manifest usually before noon, because you need the manifest in order to clear ahead of time, or else it won't trigger the acceptance. And I go ahead and I start entering the customs entry for Canada Customs. Put all the values of the invoices, all the part numbers that's in the system. If there's a lookup that's needed, if it's a new part that we don't have in our system, then I have to check out the NAFTA or the HS codes, or I have to determine what it is, and basically make sure I have the right HS code so it can be matched for the whatever tariff belongs to that particular product. So once I take care of that, then there's also, I mentioned before, the machine shipments. Now, the reason why things went a little bonkers come Friday was that I had 4 trucks all crossing at the same time. That hasn't happened since I've been there, and one of them was a supplier that forgot to load everything on the truck, so I ended up having 2 trucks, different suppliers, different routes, all crossing at different bridges, of course, into Canada, but still right around the same time. In fact, it was especially, the ETA was supposed to have been a couple of days ago, and last I checked, 2 of them were into Canada and 2 of them were still in the States as of late this evening, or late this afternoon. So, but because the ETA was there, I had to do whatever I could to get that going, and that really made a mess. The other one was something got let me see. One was a loaner that suddenly got put into play that I knew nothing about, but suddenly it was there, and somebody needed a loaner. So it wasn't a typically scheduled PO. All of a sudden, it was just there. I had this loaner, so I had to get that into my schedule on Friday. Then I had at least 2, what I call 2 fires, because one of them was, just a shipment that, one of the customers wasn't happy with, but the supplier wasn't letting us know what was happening, and oh my God, what a mess. But then the other one was the supplier was calling me because they wouldn't, the customer wouldn't, a different customer wouldn't um, give them their information so they can clear it or something. Like it was absolute bonkers crazy, and that was going on from Friday. Good thing is I didn't let it ruin my weekend. Despite the fact how bonkers it was, I didn't take it home with me. I just basically vented a little bit on the way home Friday night. I saw my kid. Boom. Nothing else mattered. It was awesome. And I started thinking about it come Sunday night a little bit. I didn't lose any sleep over it, but I started thinking about it. Started checking, because I only had one of the, what was it? Sorry. Did I clear 3? No, I cleared 2 of the 4. The third I wasn't sure. The third I didn't clear. It was only supposed to be 3 at the time, and then suddenly I had a 4th one to clear out of one of those fires. But anyways, so, and I know I'm telling a lot of story about my work life and all this other stuff. Basically, my job is pretty, and that's a cycle. That's how the whole cycle works. My custom, I check, make sure, while the shippers, or sorry, the couriers come up in the later part of the afternoon. They come, the doorbell rings. I give them help them load the stuff that I unloaded from the van, that I loaded to my van, loaded onto the couriers, and away they go. Eventually, the last courier leaves for the evening. I shut down the door, lock it up, and go back in the office. Most 5 out of my 7 hours, or maybe with the exception of me getting off my butt and going into shipping to make sure that everything is still packaged right. I don't go in and I do very little stock. We have very little stock, but there's the odd occasion where I have to stock something or box something up. But normally we're taking stuff that comes in from the States, we're importing it ourselves to save a little bit of money for the customer and the shipping or whatever, and then we're sending it off. So instead, otherwise it would be doing it direct, and then you'd have to pay a custom brokerage, and you'd have to pay all kinds of other fees. We self broker, so I mean, for now and hopefully it stays that way, but you never know. I mean, things change. My job could change. It could very well change. Oh, and also too in the afternoon, if there's deposits, I also go out and do the banking. I deposit the checks for them, and I forgot about that because I didn't do it today. There wasn't any deposits left, and that was from some of the mail in the morning or whatever. And I do the odd errand. I mean, sometimes I'm grabbing water, sometimes I'm grabbing milk, and I usually stuff like that, or if somebody needs a ride or something like that. So there's always those little extra. I'm kind of the extra guy who can squeeze in these things usually, unless it gets really hairy. But most cases I can. But the bottom line is it's variable. I kind of know I have a pretty much routine, but yet my job varies enough to make it interesting. And it's far from boring. There's times where it gets a little slow, but it's really a cool job. So what the hell am I talking about my job? What the hell's this got to do with anything, you're probably wondering. Well, I've always had the experience, especially over the course of my career, which has been mostly disappointments. I've always had the experience of going from working in the evening to trying to give myself as much relaxation as possible at night. And basically, what I'm doing right now is sitting my ass on the couch and talking to a microphone that's, it's not your typical microphone. I actually paid a little bit of extra money for it. So it actually sounds good when it wants to work, of course. And when the internet wants to work, which is working today, so that's good. But things were interesting in the past little while. And like I said, I'm going to work my way backwards. On Friday night, of course, I'm not going to go as far as Thursday, but I'll go on Friday. Like I said, it was hell. And I was able to vent, blah, blah, blah. I'm with my son. Friday, we didn't do too much, I don't think, but by the time Saturday came, holy crap, we got back into transport fever, and it was awesome. And we didn't want to go to bed. I don't get that feeling with Run 8 these days where I don't want to go to bed. I do not get that feeling. I've had that feeling in the past. I do not get that feeling. I never get the feeling that I do not want to go to bed. So obviously YouTube is having issues tonight because it just knocked me off again. And it's getting a little concerning. I don't know if it's because the new changes with YouTube is just coincidence or what, but anyways, I don't know how this is going to turn out with the YouTube, and I'm not going to spend the time of slicing it. I might edit the titles or something like that. So Friday came around, and I'm trying to get to why things are the ways. Friday came around. Saturday was pretty awesome with my kid, doing Transport Fever. Sunday came around, and I didn't get too much time with him because I had to get him home by 9 o'clock. And if I'm not mistaken, Sunday, I think what happened, if I recall correctly, and my memory's not all the greatest, but if I recall correctly, Sunday I started taking a serious look and effort into getting uh, a lot done in Run 8 and in the Waycross stuff, because that was the goal, and I wanted to start the clock. I wanted to get the trains moving, and then I ran into the disappointment that I vented about right on the live stream, where suddenly here I was, despite the fact that the industries in Run 8 run perfectly well, or sorry, industries tag perfectly reasonable, the tagging does not work very well when it comes to the train generation, and the train generation is a little bit to be desired as well. So that frustrated the hell out of me. But then by the time I think Monday came around, again, Monday was a busy, bad day again. So yes, I wanted to relax, and I was looking forward to just relaxing. And for me, relaxing was just running, and I think I ran for a good 3.5 hours or so. And I ran a full schedule. I started adding the schedules as they were coming in, and everything was cool. So it worked out. It worked out great. And I stopped myself just short of having to do any more serious work. And since that point, I haven't done anything else. Tuesday came around, and we're on Wednesday now. So Tuesday came around, like I said, my workday got a little better. Tuesdays and Thursdays are usually the night I spend on Mike's server. He's having remnants of the hurricane tropical storm, and I know that there's been issues with power and a few other things. I don't know what else is happening, but from what I understood, he was telling me later in an email, and he apologized too, which, no big deal. That he basically didn't. He decided not to have the session or something. I didn't get that. I didn't check his form. I don't read his form often or nearly enough. It's just another form to read, so I really don't do it that often. But plus, I never remember what the hell the link is. I have to go through Run 8 servers to find it. But I was on there, and no, I just I got on. Chris was, and it was strange because I had to get some. I wanted to get some soda. I keep saying pop because pop is a Canadian term, but anyways, soda for all you Americans, so you know what the hell I'm talking about. I was running low on that, and I wanted to get some. So I stopped off at the store on my way home from dropping my son off, and so I was there it was about 9:30, and I checked the server list, and I noticed only one person was on the California server. I thought, it's just me and Mike? And I connected. It wasn't Mike, it was Chris. I asked Chris, I says, is Mike running tonight? And he says, yeah, as far as I know, he has it posted. And I says, okay, well, I says, I'll just hang out here for a little bit, see what happens. And I waited maybe about 10 minutes, and then I just dropped the carry. I didn't even say bye. I mean, I wasn't trying to be rude or anything. I just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna I'm gonna take off now. And when I'm bored, I go to YouTube usually. I tend to rely more on YouTube simply because I don't have, well, I do. I have the TV. I have all these channels if I want to use them. I have a minimum set of channels. I can certainly watch baseball. I'm sure there's plenty of interesting things I can watch on TV, but I choose not to. In fact, if I have my way, I'm going to get rid of all my television stuff pretty soon. The only thing I watch is wrestling now. And believe me, it's not that exciting. There's times that you get a nice pop out of it, but it's not that exciting. I get very bored of it easily. So, and I got my son into it 2 years ago, and I kind of regret that in a way because it would have been a lot easier right now. But I thought, oh yeah, your dad, back then I didn't see Giving Up Wrestling, and it was still pretty good, but it wasn't as good as it used to be, and I should have known better. But he's still interested. He doesn't want to give it up, but he's thinking about it because he knows. I'm trying to say, I was like, well, what the hell are we watching this for when we fast forward 3/4 of this stuff? Because it's garbage. He doesn't want to watch this match. He doesn't want to watch that match because it's boring. I'm saying, yeah, I agree. Sometimes I want to watch a match he doesn't want to watch, and Monday Night Raw's 3 hours, and then like we got through it and watched our stuff on Tuesday night. This was before the thing, but yeah, I got on YouTube and I was watching some different stuff, and it's the same old, same old. Even the real world stuff is just same old, same old. The politics, the constant, it just gets so tiring. It ends up repeating a lot of stuff that I already know about the economy, about how the stock market is fake, because the stock market is not Main Street. And there's all kinds of political things and all kinds of stuff that I can get myself wrapped into. Hell, even tonight I was into YouTube and I got into this reply to some idiot who thinks like, who's to say I know everything, but he just total doughboy, doughhead. And yeah, watching, just trying to figure out what the hell he's talking about. But yeah, I normally don't care what other people think, but for some reason I have to reply. Some reason I have to defend my thoughts. For some reason I have to say what's right. I have to try to make what's right. Sometimes I have to just have the last word, and sometimes I just should just forget it and shut it off. Who cares? What is it going to matter what I say? Who's right? Who's not? I don't even know these clowns, basically. But no, I got to debate them, as if I'm going to change his mind, or if he's going to understand, or oh wow, I might get a few thumbs up from a bunch of people who, and I do. I get support. I'll get some thumbs up. I'll get a lot of thumbs up on a lot of comments. Oh yeah, whoopie-doo. What does that mean? That don't mean nothing. I mean, it's great. It's great that I got the thumbs up and the acknowledgement, but what does it mean? Is that supposed to make my ego better? Do I need a bigger ego? No, not really. What does it mean? Why is that so important? And I started thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing? What the hell is that so important for? So I give up one thing of programming, like watching programming, like what most people do, watching television, watching sports. It's like, not this year. This year I decided not to follow the Jays. Not because they didn't make the World Series or anything like that, or it's just because it was a lot of time. I gave up NASCAR. I was joking about a certain somebody who took his ball and ran and probably went back to virtual NASCAR. Quite frankly, maybe I should go join him because that sounds like fun. Maybe that's what I should do. But nah, I'm not gonna do that. But it's kind of weird because I know what's been happening. I see it all the time, and this relates back to everything. It really relates back to, I'm having the time of my life with my son on certain days. Other days we're not. Other days we're not getting into certain stuff, or we're doing the same old routine, watching wrestling on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I mean, there's certain programming that he's not watching anymore, and oh yeah, there's a big women's tournament, and we missed the start of it. And quite frankly, I'm not going to encourage him. As much as I think there would be some, interesting matches and all that other stuff, do we really need to see it? Do we really need to see a big women's tournament? Does he really care? Do I care? No. But for some reason, because WWE puts out that programming, we suddenly have to care. Like, no, we don't have to care. I'm still getting, I guess, my money's worth, supposedly. Although what I consider my worth and I said before at the beginning, and who knows how many fragments this stream has gone through now because of whatever the YouTube connection errors is. But I said before, about I don't know. Lost my train of thought. Um, See, I got into the that's what happens when I get distracted. All of a sudden, I thought, oh yeah, well, how many fragments I did. But anyways, something about not caring. Forget it. I gotta let it go, and that's the other thing. I gotta like, I try to remember, and I can sit here forever and try to remember, and then finally it might come to me or whatever. Maybe it will. Who knows? But no big deal. So you got, if anything, I've known for since the time that I decided to want to bring down my California server, and Mike took it over. I knew from around that time that I was growing old of hosting, especially a 24/7 server. I was growing old, and the server the other day, by the way, had a fatal error on it, so it needed to be restored from its original, which means I would have lost Evolve, Run 8, and whatever else was on it. But that was version 1. But I needed to get away from that. I knew the servers were, it was losing its momentum. This was well before version 2. And version 2 was a huge improvement to version 1. Except where it improved, the majority of it improved, there's some interesting issues and lags that are still in the product, I find. And if anything, they've become more obvious. Because I'm into car forwarding and a top-down design and running running an entire railroad, not just switching, not just running trains, not just dispatching, but doing the whole package. And I mean, we got 3 really cool territories. The problem with those territories is every author that I know of, or every developer, wants to continue to expand them. And I see this. I don't see something new. Now, I've heard word about editors. I'm silently looking to see exactly what that is. And the problem is, whenever they say something coming out, they're very secretive about it. I mean, most companies, they're really, they'll push out what's coming next. Run 8, you don't know what the hell's coming up next. They can't even keep their website updated anymore. It doesn't matter. They'll post on some Facebooks. They'll post on some I guess, quote unquote friendly forums, or whatever you want to call it, or preferred forums, I like to call it. Places I don't have membership to be quite honest. And they'll post there, despite trying to be equal. I mean, I get some of the developers come over to my forums and post once in a while. Okay, big deal. I mean, and that's with all due respect to the people who do post on my forums, and the people who do reach out to me, because there are people who will actually give me a call and talk to me. And I mean, it comes to mind. I mean, two of the guys is developers. Both Jason for Florida A-Line and Mike. And so those are 2 guys who do reach out. I don't hear too much. I mean, I don't know if we're 100% like the old days between myself and Brad. There was a lot of issues that went on between us. Probably me saying anything bad about Run 8 right now is going to cause issues between us. It is his baby after all, and yeah. John seems to be a little bit more level-headed, but he's busy, and I've tried to do as much as I can to reach out to him, but he seems to be busy, and he's taking a lot of he has a lot of friends in Run 8, so I mean, there's only so much time he could give me, or reply to me, I guess, or whatever. Um, and so I don't. It's there's as I've said before, um, California. California for me right now, with the exception of Mike's server and dispatching, is pretty much useless for me. And yeah, I can run. Yes, there's nothing stopping me from running a world and not going as far as, say I just run Needles, Cajon, and whatever. The problem is trying to get as much people to come on a server. Think about this for a second. Think about all the people who like running all these major areas, and you get somebody who, oh, Run 8's got a new route. It's Seligman. Or the next thing that's going to come along. Run 8's got LA. We've seen pictures for a long time. It's coming. You know it's coming. How many people are going to go out and purchase it? Not everybody. I didn't buy Seligman. But now, what does that do for me if I was ever wanting to host a server? Now, Mike, he bought Seligman and he put it up. I've never seen it. Other than the pictures, I don't know. I'm sure it's great. But guess what? It's attached to a whole network, and my whole concept is about a top-down design. My whole concept is running a railroad from top down. And it's great that these things all connect. And it's great that there's AI. There's great that there's all things. First of all, the AI train generation, whatever thingamajig you want to call it, we already know it sucks. It just sucks. Okay? I don't know what Mo Beta was supposed to be, but Mo Beta is, yeah, it sucks. Okay? The AI itself runs great. I don't care. I don't care if it has physics. I don't care if it honks or keeps its headlights flash. I don't care if there's two guys that, twitch around in the cab or whatever. I don't care about that. It's great. The AI is great. It is so awesome to have the AI. It's so awesome to start up and the headlights come on. It does a little toot and the bell and everything. It's awesome. It's so awesome it follows signals. It's so awesome. Yeah, okay, fine. It kind of cheats and starts easing off before it even sees a signal half the time. But that's okay. I can live with that. That's a minor thing. Who cares? Who cares about the minor things? But then when the thing wants to generate a train, it's got two ways of generating trains. It either generates a train with a bunch of tags that are pretty much evenly distributed, random garbage is what I like to call it, which has no operational value whatsoever, or it acts like a short line and acts like a supply train and brings in every single industry. Well, not necessarily every single industry, but basically the whole pool of industries comes from one source. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at these giant routes that they've got right now. You mean to tell me there's lumber coming in from Arizona? I mean, come on. Or there's lumber coming in from the LA Basin. Doubt it. Okay, now it's coming in from Tehachapi. Yes, that makes sense, because guess what? It's on the Vabar, and I use this example all the time. You cannot do proper logistics the way it's set up. The only way you can do it is do RTS, which hence is the issue. RTS 2 is not out. And for the amount of time that I've banged my head and tried to tweak it and just tried to have fun and relaxed and decided, well, I like dispatching, so I want to dispatch on servers because I miss California, so I'm going to dispatch. And I'm gonna fill up every night. I'm gonna do Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm gonna dispatch, and Mondays and Wednesdays I'm gonna dedicate to my little projects. I'll have one that's a Bakersfield project. I'll have a Selkirk project. I'll have every project under the damn sun. It ain't gonna make a damn difference. It doesn't matter. It's not making a difference. First of all, if I go post on Train Sim, nobody gives a crap. They do not care. They don't care what I'm doing. Period. Because they're not into it. Now, I would have a bigger audience, and maybe some people over at Run A Depot would care. The only problem with Run A Depot was whenever you mention the RTS word, that's a swear word. It's kind of like the old guard that used to be there. It's a swear word. You can't mention certain people. You can't mention others, or you can't mention this. You can't do this. But hey, we're home of free speech, or whatever baloney. And I'm not saying it's Run A Depot, but whatever baloney garbage tagline that a former other server forum thing or whatever the hell it is like to put. And I know I'm kicking him while he's down. I don't give a shit. Seriously, I don't care. He don't care. If he really doesn't care, he wouldn't be bothered paying attention to my ranting about it anyways. And honestly, why should I care? I shouldn't care. Why even bring it up, right? That's the way I should be. But you know, certain things still, you know, you talk about the death of, you know, the death of the community and death of this and blah 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 blah. There are some cancers in that community, believe me, and a lot of it's been removed, thankfully. Doesn't mean because the cancer has been removed doesn't mean things haven't improved or you know, things are better. I mean, yeah, it's just still putting along. Congratulations. Yeah, it's 5 years. Great. Great accomplishment. And nobody can create a simulator to rival it. That's what I find. I find that absolutely amazing. When you look at all the software that's out of there. Honestly, Run 8 should have had its ass kicked a few years ago, but it didn't. It survived. Why? Because they focused on eye candy and crappy physics when they kind of promised that they were going to do certain things and then they couldn't deliver. The good part about what I do is I tend to try to make goals and promises and say I'm going to do this and do that. But the good thing about it is I don't make a cent off of this. So whatever I do is volunteer anyways. I've had people tell me, well, why don't you put, you know, you should. I remember one time somebody told me I should take donations or something. I'm like, come on, I'm not going to take donations. I'd spend more time setting it up than what it was worth. But anyways, maybe one day, but not at this level. So getting back to this whole 3 routes thing. So I try all these little projects. The problem with all those little projects is this. What about if I do a Selkirk project? Well, no, let's forget about Selkirk project. Let me... Florida's pretty good the way it is right now. Florida has a lot of potential. I still like Florida. I still think in its current form, Florida has a lot of potential. If it gets bigger, look out. And I know it's going to get bigger because these guys want to make money and they, you know, and here's where the dilemma begins. Yes, people will want certain routes, but in order for the server to survive, it's got to update those routes. It's got to have those routes, or else people are going to go elsewhere. Hence why a lot of people do single player and they run things their way. And there's the issue. We could have right now very little development. I heard stuff about, or what the hell was it? Alaska. I've heard various different things, but we could easily have some short lines in Run 8. It's got the operations, why not? But there's this emphasis on multiplayer. Okay, that's great. Well, what's happening now is a lot of people are running single player with AI assistance. Well, you got an AI system that basically fills industries. Well, it has one supply train. Okay, perfect. That system runs perfect for a short line. So what are we? Are we a class 1 or are we a short line? Because if we were a class 1, we wouldn't have the car forwarding system that's there now. It wouldn't be there. And the industries, they work pretty damn good. The industries, the way they're set up, why wasn't that included in the trains? I don't understand that. The industries can sort through it boggles me. I mean, why can't we have those menus on the trains? Like, where it has list all the different car types and says what's the I mean, I know, sorry, they don't have probability, but you can easily put probability for those things or whatever. Why can't we have that? Why do we have to have auto racks on every damn train? And I heard some things are changing, and there might be some filters down the road and all that other stuff. They just got to get the tags right. I mean, seriously, they got to get the tags right. You got a 64 track hump in Waycross, and you're telling me I cannot. And I know I've heard the warnings. Jason warned. He said, no, you cannot fill that yard. Okay. I was ready to prove it wrong. And then I said, well, and then I thought, why do I need to prove it wrong anyways? And I was running just fine. I've had worse frame rates in Barstow. I was able to sort cars fine in it. I didn't have a whole whack of engines. Now, mind you, I didn't have that much in there. I only had like my first hump or whatever, and I was probably going to hump a few more, and then I would start trimming. Because I wouldn't be just humping to that. I would start trimming the local sections out, getting the locals ready, and then when the local train supplies came in, but that's the other thing too. Those trains that are coming in, I mean, local supply trains, okay. Think of it this way, okay? Now I can easily make a fake industry and call it Callahan sub, or Callahan sub. I can make another fake industry called Brunswick sub. The other ones, because there's trains that actually go there. So some of the cars that come into Georgia, I could do that. Now, first of all, I want to make sure, I want to make it perfectly clear. This in no way a knock of the Florida route. I bought it right away. I think the route is great. This route is great, and it's no knock about the other routes either. Those routes are great. The problem, Florida's fine the way it is. California's too big. And Selkirk has a few issues with the hump, as I've mentioned before, and unfortunately, Selkirk is operationally, I would say, boring. That's just the way I see it. I mean, after a while, you see one of the most, probably the beautiful, to me, still the most beautiful route. Although Florida's really catching up with it with some of the scenery I'm seeing. I'm starting. I mean, I love the Mohawk River and the Hudson and all that stuff, but I'm starting to sway more towards Florida. And I mean, that's okay. There's great parts about both of those routes, but right now my heart lies in Florida. It's been shifting over to that way. Now my heart lies there, but does my heart lie in a Run 8? I'm not sure yet. Still not 100% sure, but I'm getting to that. So you've got everything that's setting up, and give me a second here. Good time for my internet to die out on me again for a second, but it hasn't. I just need a drink to quench my thirst here. Happens when you, which is another thing that I want to get to, and I know this is going longer than I expected to, because I guess I have a lot on my mind and I know what the hell I'm talking about, which is really scary. But there's supposed to be editors coming out. That's what I heard. I don't know what the hell that means, and again, it's back to the secrecy. We don't know what that means. We don't know, we never know when it's going to come out. It'll come out whenever it comes out. There's really no game plan as far, or that we know of anyways. Us loyal peasants who just, are devoted to Run 8, to salivate at every new thing that comes out and throw money at it. But I mean, make no mistake about it. It's well worth its money that I've thrown at it. It's well worth it. It's given me over 5 years of enjoyment. It's given me some frustrations too, but that's okay. Much more enjoyment out of frustrations. But now, it's everything. Everything changes, and I said this earlier on. Everything changes. First of all, there's tremendous potential for Florida, as it is right now. And if I can get RTS2 set up, there is a potential of making it really, really good. But then I thought about that, and I thought, I put a lot of pressure on myself to deliver. And I usually make pretty strong goals. I do a lot of different things. As I look around my house right now as I'm recording this, and my screen's changing because another half hour's gone by, and I think I've seen this 3 times now, so despite my clock here saying 32 minutes live, it's, I don't know, this seems a lot longer. Definitely, well, because of the interruptions in the stream. But, wondering about what's next for me. And as I said, I'm looking around my house, and it's a freaking pigsty. Now that's testament to the fact that I don't care what other people think. But then again, other people aren't here to think or look at it. I got papers, I got clothes, got a little bit of dishes. Now, mind you, at least I clean those. I do those once a week. Extra recycling, extra receipts and stuff to go through. I was looking at today, and I'm like, man, and I still have my just a little tiny Christmas tree that my son insisted, or at least my son's mom insisted that I bring over. Or I don't know, somebody insisted it. I never took the damn thing down, and we're getting pretty close to December, so it's staying up. Doesn't really look like much of a Christmas tree because there's hardly any ornaments on it. But anyways, it's still up. It's resting on top of my desk above my filing system, or whatever the hell it is. And the thing is, I try not to get too motivated to worry about cleaning the house so much. I always wanted to get into a system where I would be dispatching and relaxing and enjoying, and then I can just let it go and then go do a few cleaning the house. I mean, I got a lot of cardboard I have to get out this week. Don't mind me, I'm going to start eating. But another issue too, because then I try to do these live streams, and I try. Oh, dang it! Hold on a second. That's not good. Speaking of dirty, goodbye. I was having a cereal bar, and one little piece hit the floor, and I looked at what it was in, and there was like dust or something with it, and I'm like, okay, goodbye. Thankfully, it was a little piece, but oh well. I'll get something bigger to snack on later. Damn. Now I'm choking. I'm gonna die on YouTube. Wow. That was tough. I mean, I like to eat like every 2 hours snack. Nothing big. Man, that feels like it went up my freaking nostril. Oh man. I think it was the cola, but I'm not sure. Woo! Great. So yeah, I had supper a little after 5. Started the laundry. watched a tiny bit of YouTube, got into a YouTube comment discussion with somebody who, I already mentioned this before. And then once I got all out of that, then I got my stuff together, threw my wash into the dryer about an hour and a half ago, I think it was, something like that. I think it was after 6 o'clock, around 6:07 I started, so I've been about an hour and a half ranting or trying to describe what it is that's going through. And maybe I haven't even gotten to that point yet. But what I'm getting to is, my house, I don't care too much what people think, but yet there's times I do. There's times I do. And I started out tonight. I do care. I actually do care enough to say, why am I doing the live streams and how do you like them? Or is it, is it something you watch from beginning to end? Because personally, when I watch live streams, I can't stand I don't have time to watch 4 hours, let alone 2 hours or whatever the hell it is. I don't have time to spend a whole whack of time on that. Why would I expect anybody else to do that? Hold on a second. I still feel like I'm choking on something. Oh boy. Like I've had stuff go down the wrong way. That didn't feel like a drink that went down the wrong way. That felt like food that went down the wrong way. I've like, whoa. It felt like I inhaled some of my granola bar. Scary. But it is what it is. But that's what I do. Like every 2 hours I'll snack on something. And it's supposed to keep your metabolism going. As long as you're eating stuff that's healthy. I mean, this stuff is granola bars. It's got a little bit of chocolate chips in it. Cereal. Or whatever else. Probably not the greatest thing for you, but it's not too bad. 100 calories. And, I'll have one more of these, or I'll have some toast and peanut butter later on. I'm probably going to treat myself to that tonight, and then that'll be it all night. I eat a lot of crap. See? Wow. I still feel like there's something in my throat. I really do. Like that, I literally inhaled it. I feel like I inhaled food. And I don't inhale food, honestly. You guys probably think I eat all the time. But I literally just inhaled food. I've never done that before. I've inhaled, I've had pop go up my nose. Man, it feels like food's in my lungs right now. That's never happened. Well, sort of feels like it. Just I have that sensation, so I don't know what that means. Cannot find window. What the? I've never seen that. Cannot find window. Anyways, I just noticed that. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Whatever. It's just sitting in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, so yeah, I look around and I see a lot of ability to clean up. I've watched, like I said before, you look back. I'll go forwards this time, and I'll start back when I gave up the server the first time. And at the time, I knew I needed to make a change. I knew something was changing. I needed to do something. And the idea was to either develop, I think the idea was to develop Selkirk. I think. It was either to develop Selkirk or RTS. We already had RTS. The RTS beta. I think I was either going to develop that more or I was going to do Selkirk, but once I gave up the server, suddenly I felt a lot more freedom because I had done it. Suddenly I didn't feel obligated so much. And it wasn't like I it wasn't like I let down a whole whack of people, because the good thing was I waited for somebody to take it over. Now, you fast forward to version 2 coming out, and that was a major change. And because we had people, despite the issues that I'm going over now, that I'm really starting to find that irritate me about version 2, and the way the tag system works on the new trains, version 2 was revolutionary. I mean, when you had enough people working together, California just rocked, and we had a huge lot of dedicated people. Speaking of which, I mean, Ski's coming back. I don't know how much he's going to be in the Run 8, but he's coming. So I don't know what some of the other guys have got. Some of my admins, I don't know where all my admins are. I honestly don't. I mean, there's people that have been so busy. I haven't heard more about it. Mike said he was gonna send some emails out and some feelers and see what's going on. You know, people have just said they're real busy, and that's, work's real busy. This is real busy. That is real busy. Everybody seems to be real busy except me. So in a way, I feel like, okay, well, I have all this time, but I also have a lot of creative juices, and I want to create. And I want, and if I wanted to create so much, you're probably saying, well, why don't you just get to programming RTS2 then, if you want to create so much? Well, there's a catch to that. There's a lot of catches to that, actually. Creating something for myself that really doesn't necessarily do much for a community, I don't know if that's really what I want to create. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I shouldn't or can't or whatever. What I wanted to do with Florida was I wanted to get a feel. And I'm not done with Florida. I'm just not going to fill up every night of my weeknights until I see my son, and then just turn a switch, and then suddenly I'm with my son and I don't do anything Run 8, and then I go back to it. This whole turning a switch thing is getting a little tiresome. Yes, there's times where I'm not going to be with my son, there's times I am, but there's a lot of there's a lot of other dynamics that play in. And I think I obviously was getting tired of any responsibility of hosting a server, so I gave that up. Now, I eventually, once California went down, and Mike took it over to Southwest Rails, which I was on last night. I was gonna run. It's got nothing to do with last night, but last night actually made me realize a few things. And I was already thinking about these things anyways, but it made me think about it some more. And really, it started culminating. It's been culminating since I took my own server down. Man, I still feel like I inhaled something. But it really felt as if I had taken something, oh man, this is dang. I am literally dying on YouTube. I kid you not. Hold on a second. I really mucked up my system here. Just give me a few minutes. I'll be back. I'd give you something to look at, but I can't think of anything. So yeah, just give me about 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay. No promises here. I don't think I'm going to die on YouTube, but who knows. Um, so I don't know what I was saying because I was all of a sudden concerned about my lungs, or I thought a granola bar was going to come out of my nostrils, but no, nothing happened. Strange though. I think it was just a sensation. I don't think it's possible. I don't know. Who knows what's possible, but it was just strange. Um, so my throat's probably getting dry anyway, so I'm not gonna give myself too much more time. But besides, I got a lot of things I want to do, and I don't think it involves Run 8, believe it or not. But I have a plan for that. I'll get to that very shortly. So that doesn't mean I'm going to stop Run 8. But what I was getting to, what was happening. I got my server down. To me, the pinnacle of what I enjoyed most about Run 8 was version 2, and when we were on Mike's California server, we had a bunch of guys who were dedicated, and we were running capacity trains. It really felt like a Class 1 railroad. It felt like a serious operation. It was a lot of fun. But, you know, Mike, no, it started feeling like a job for a lot of us, because then there began, we started seeing, I think both Mike and myself started seeing a decline in steadiness of people, and I think there was a lot of stress involved. We couldn't bring in enough new people to. I mean, Chris came in to the fold. We couldn't bring in enough new people to really keep the system running as efficient as we wanted to. Now this was Mike's call. He went on a trip away, and it's amazing what train trips do, because that made him think about a lot of things. Well, the trip this year made me think a lot about a lot of things too. So that was even further, because before I left for that train trip this year, at the beginning of the summer, of course, I still had Selkirk Project. And I shut down Selkirk Project. I never brought it back up. I shut it down for, at least a few weeks while I went away, and then I never brought it back up. And one of the major things was why I had little to no interest in it. I had at least, one person who was there all the time, but other than that, the odd person coming in and out now and then, and trying to schedule and trying to be accountable for certain time periods in a day and all that other stuff. It really got to me. But this is where things start to come 360. So I knew that. That was going to be an issue. Now, Tom has basically said to me he wishes there's a way that him and I can get together on this. And perhaps there is. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I just haven't thought of it, and Tom hasn't come up with it either. Here's the thing. For me personally, I do not want to run switchers all the time. And if I'm going to run mainline trains, I'm certainly going to want to run with traffic patterns. The other thing too is I don't like running at the same time of day every day, just because my schedule is pretty straightforward and the same. I like to run at midnight and see an Amtrak train go through at a time that it would normally run. I like to see, maybe a 6 a.m. job that comes out, say like the Boron Local at 5 a.m. or whatever. I like to see that. I like to have the feeling, even though no matter what time it is, I like to have the feeling of knowing that I'm part of that time, be it frozen or whatever. But Tom still is a 24/7 server for RTS. He represents RTS. He's got his 24/7 server. I was gonna originally I was setting up Florida or whatever the hell we call it, Florida sessions or whatever. But I haven't gotten through the first bit of testing phases because now I'm stuck in a predicament. And that is, do I, one, take the time to program RTS for something that may or may not interest me, because I really don't know. I don't know about that part. Or two, do I try to put up with the crap they call a car forwarding system? Maybe I can come up with another idea. I've had a lot of ideas lately, and you know, some of my really good ideas have come out of the dilemmas that I've been in. So maybe I'll come up with something. But it's just not there just yet. And generating a source train from someplace. I mean, I could think of fake yards. I can think of I I mean, you know, when you think about some of the possibilities, I mean, you've got Scott Martin, who's running a server off and on in Selkirk, which he likes doing. I mean, in theory, Scott could build all the trains for us if he liked doing it. And we could just basically take those trains and populate them, and or do something, or use his tags and somehow collaborate with that. There's a lot of collaboration possibilities out there. And we've done this before. RTS has done this before. It's been known to collaborate with other servers. We did have a collaboration set up at one time where we collaborated at least with one other server, and we shared save files. Hasn't been done in probably 4 years, I'm thinking. But collaboration is something that could potentially work. The thing is, you need planning. You need people that are willing to want to collaborate. If you don't have people that are willing to collaborate or willing to discuss ideas or brainstorm ideas, then these things don't happen. So, I mean, those things have to happen first before new ideas can become out. But to me, what Run 8 really needs is the ability to allow for a smaller environment that's contained. The problem with expansion, and I want you to hear me out on this one because it's very, very vital. If a server is going to be successful, to have the most people, even when I had Selkirk, remember, sorry, Bakersfield Project. Bakersfield Project, despite the fact being California default, was not that successful. Now, I'm not saying that that has anything to do with anything. It may not. It may just have to do with the fact that because I have RTS and I'm not the big player. I'm not the big fish. And getting people, version 2 doesn't matter, because you don't need that. You don't need all those people, because if you want to take a section of it, you can do it. Unfortunately, you have another dilemma, and that is you're limited to certain spawn points if you're going to use the spawns. Now, RTS has always been able to put spawn points wherever the hell it wants to put them. So, in theory, RTS could solve that issue as well. But in a usefulness, or at least to try to be something available to all people, you are, as a server, forced to expand. If you want to be able, basically, if the routes expand, you need to. The good thing about Florida right now, I got everything that Florida's got. So, yeah, I don't know if I have every engine or every car, but, you know, I got everything that Florida has pretty much. So, anybody who wants to try out different cars, different engines, or stuff that you would basically see in Florida. I mean, let's get real here. I'm not gonna have Santa Fe cabooses there, but that's Florida. You're gonna see. I'll put some Chesney in there once in a while. I'll put some Conrail in there once in a while. Um, you know, Seaboard Coast or whatever. Yeah, stuff like that, or Florida East Coast and all that other stuff. I'll have that stuff come in once in a while. That's going to be part of it. That's fine. Because I was playing a 2003 era, I could do it. California, forget about it. I'll never host a California server again. Never. I guess you say never. Say never. I'll never host a California server again. I truly believe that. 99.9% certain I will never host a California server again. And you wonder why nobody else wants to host a California server. Mike hosts a California server, and he's got every route, but you know, is it worth it? I don't know. Ask him. I'm not sure if it is or isn't. I can tell you this much from dispatching on Mike's server. And I've talked to Mike about this, so I'm not talking behind his back. He knows. I've told him, and he's brought. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it the other night. And I'm gonna, as far as I know, I'm going on his server tomorrow night, and I'm gonna dispatch the West End. As long as he's running, I'll have to check to see if he's running. He said he was, so I'm gonna dispatch the West End and see what it's like. There's no promises, there's no guarantees, there's no nothing. And at some point, I may have to further my discussion with Mike. Mike doesn't come on to my Wikia too often. I don't really go on to his forum too often. There's a bit of a split there, but I still enjoy the opportunity to dispatch. The issue I find right now for me personally is before there was enough trains, but it was just too much to handle for two people. Now I think he's downplayed the trains to make it easier, but this was always the reason why I never wanted to see California reduce the total number of trains, because it didn't seem real. And we'll see how much it was. I was sort of on the other night, and then we couldn't run. I think it was last Thursday was the first time it tried it. And then there was some major connection problems and the winds and whatever. And I saw it, and I didn't really get a chance to get into it because before we could even begin, it was over. The server, our pings were up to 300. Everybody was disconnecting. I wasn't going to be able to dispatch in it. There was something. I think there was something wrong with the router, as it turned out to be. It had anything to do with winds. It had to do with the router, but I didn't get a chance to really get a good run at that. So I didn't really notice the dispatch board too much the other night, but it looked manageable. It's certainly manageable. I mean, the benefit for California is it has external dispatcher. So there's a lot of pros to California. Unfortunately, it's too freaking big. And the bigger it gets, and there's another screen change, which should be an indicator to me to shut the hell up and turn this off. But now that I'm healthy again. But the biggest thing for me is it's just too big. And they're going to keep on expanding this thing and expanding. I thought I heard something. I forget which sub it is that they plan on doing. And the thing is, people are wanting this too. There's people out there that they want it. They want to see this expansion. They want to see Metrolink. They want to see, they want to see all kinds of. Not very few. There's very few people that are asking for another route or another place. I mean, I do see it, but nobody's really asking for it. Everybody takes a look at, loves how easy it is to connect from one route to another. and to have multiplayer across big things. But honestly, who the hell's first of all, is there anybody that can really dispatch California in realistic conditions? I'm not talking about the random generator, Mobeta, whatever, or lack of Mobeta, or whatever the hell it is supposed to be, AI dispatch, or AI, not AI dispatch, AI generation system. Because that thing's crap. You don't just set a time and say, okay, this is probability here, and boom, 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 let's throw a dice and take a card out of a deck and you just put it back in the deck, but we're not going to reshuffle. No, that's crap. It doesn't reflect anything that's prototypical. It's crap, and it basically turns a very prototypical realistic simulator, and what used to be one of its endearing qualities to me, the operations, it turns it into a toy. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like it's just eye candy. If I wanted eye candy, I know where to go to find eye candy, believe me. I came to Run 8 because I wanted the realistic environment. I like the hump yards at work. I like, I like the to have an entire simulated system. Before Bakersfield expanded, I was okay with it because at least I had a system that could generate the things. And I mean, I certainly appreciate the fact that the XML files there, but the XML changed only slightly. So there's no excuse why I couldn't just take version 1 and put it, but version 1 was already an obsolete dog. Version 1 needed a total change. And like I said before, sitting on this couch yapping to a YouTube stream isn't what I really have in mind. I was looking forward to this, but now I see it's 8:02 p.m. and I'm like, wow, I'm going on about this now. But I'm going to end this very soon because I'm going to get to what really I want to be doing. Or I'll tell you that anyways. I'll tell you what I'm going to be wanting to do. So, in a minute, or 2 or 3 or 10, hopefully not too much longer. But, so that's what it needs. To me, it needs a short line. It needs an editor. Well, I guess there's an editor coming out. We don't know what that means. It really needs some... It needs some rejuvenation. The guys did great on version 2. I mean, despite what I say about, and say about their car forwarding system, and despite what I say about the random number generator, which is minor for most people. Most people don't care. They couldn't give a crap. All they want to run is choo-choo 600 miles. How many people in their right mind have a time who work a job, have the time a day to run a train from one end to the other? Oh yeah, but you can save it. Yeah, okay. Well, wait. Are we a single player sim or are we a multiplayer sim? And if we're a single player sim, okay, that's fine. How many people can dispatch all of California? And I asked that. How many people have actually been able to dispatch realistic train levels? You set those random sliders. If you want to take the random, fine, take the random, and put it at realistic levels. You're talking 200 trains a day. Get it so that you have 200 trains a day, and you dispatch and run trains. Nobody does it. Which makes California in single player, yes. Some people like it. Some people, do whatever they want. And you tell me a 24/7 server that's doing it. Nobody. I don't care how good your server is or how much you think your server is good. I don't care how many people you think you have and how many hours you log in and how many people you have in on TeamSpeak or whatever else, how many people are logged into your system or whatever. It don't mean diddly squat because that does not reflect what the real world does. The real world has people that are running hump yards. It has people that are running switchers, which you can't do in AI. You can start them up, but you can't really do it in AI. You got California's got 2 active hump yards. It's got you got San Bernardino, you got Bakersfield, both ends, not necessarily running 24/7, but there's certainly enough. You got Mojave, you got the industry switchers, you've got all the locals, you got the main lines that set out stuff. You've got now an expansion into, you got the Victorville area, you got the Cemex plant, you've got oh, what else do we have? I don't know what the new route has. It has some terminal railroad. It has something else that you got crew changes at Needles. Blah 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 blah. People, 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 people. It's too much. You cannot do it all. I was like, well, who cares, Sean? You're such a party boomer. Who cares? Yeah, okay, fine. That's what RTS has always been about, though. It's about realistic operations. Not eye candy and let's build the biggest mountain. I understand these guys want to make money. I understand they want to keep on getting their source of incomes, their source of revenues. I was like, when I heard different idea. I mean, there was Chicago at one time. Okay, well, that was not theirs, but it fell through. Okay, I get it. So, and I know some other person, and I'm not going to name who he is because I was told not to. And I'm not even going to tell you what area it was because I was asked not to. I was asked to keep it confidential. But there was somebody who wanted to build a smaller route. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Confidential. I'm not going to tell anybody. Certainly not on YouTube. I'd have to be very close to you and very tight and know you could keep your mouth shut before I'd even say a word. Because the other thing too to keep in mind is I'm on a non-disclosure agreement still. They hold that over my head because apparently it still applies. I don't know why it applies, but anyways, it's not like I know any secrets, but apparently it applies. I wonder if there's a there's a year limit or something like that where things are no longer legal or something like that. There's a legal term for something like that, but there period of like there's a time where you can only get charged to a certain time and then you're immune to it or so. I don't know what the hell it is. Anyways, so but I knew about that, and the decision was not to go with it. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But those are the type of things I personally would much rather see. I mean, I would love to develop a. I would love to be able to contribute. Do I know how to develop a route? Not really. I've done it. I've sort of started trying to do it with MSTS at one time. I was doing okay. I'm certainly capable of doing map. I create maps. I create maps for Transport Fever. Now, mind you, a lot of that's generated and a lot of it's using DEM data. I've got DEM data. I know how to use it. I'm very good with geography. I'm very good with maps. What I'm not good at is the artist side of things. Well, if you take a good look at Florida, or not Florida, sorry, not Florida. Florida's got a very good artist. Selkirk, and this is all due respect to Mikey. I don't know how much Mikey really does as far as artist work. I'm sure he does some, but I'm not sure how much he does because if you look at some of the repeat assets, now I see a lot of Florida assets in Selkirk Mohawk. Doesn't really take too much away from it for me. But see, there's an idea right there. If you got all these assets that are available out there, and I mean it's in other routes anyways, is it that difficult to make assets available, just like back in the Microsoft Train Simulators days when you had a bunch of assets that were available that you could use to develop your own routes? I don't know. I would think yes. So it'll be interesting to see. There's talk about it. That's why I'm still Run 8's still on my system. I was running on a hard drive system, space on C the other day. Now it doesn't matter to me because I didn't put version 2 on C anyways. But I mean, there's times. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm coming over on the internet that I'm seeing different things, and we downloaded a pinball game a few weeks ago, and my son and I were really addicted to that. And I mean, Transport Fever, we were really having a blast this weekend on that again. And I had not looked at it in a while. My son, it's interesting looking at through a 9-year-old's perspective at things. Because the 9-year-old doesn't care. Well, he does care what people think, but in a lot of ways he doesn't. He just wants to have fun. That's his primary goal and objective in life right now, is to have fun. He's not interested in a career. He's not interested in women or men if he's a girl. That 9-year-old, my son, is interested in having fun. He doesn't want to be bored. If he's bored, he wants to go have fun. He'll tell you he's bored. He'll tell you if he's bored of school. He'll tell you everything you want to know. And all it takes is knowing him and to say, okay, well, what don't you like about Run 8, buddy? And he can't really explain it, but you know he's trying. And he says it just doesn't keep his interest. Like, okay, I get that. But then he can go into Transport Fever and he can be just like his dad and not want to go to bed. And Transport Fever, I mean, that is like a squished up world. It's crazy. It's a compressed world, and I think man, if you had the Run 8 capability somehow merged with Transport Fever somehow, if that was possible. If we had the editors, if we had, think about the possibilities. Now I know, I mean, they were talking about editors after the first year at one point. Of course, that was Kaiba. It's too complicated. Something. I've even got I downloaded the Unreal Engine and started looking into that the other day, about a week or so ago. So I'm actually looking into a lot of different things. And one thing that I did look at, and you might think, okay, well wait a minute, hold on a second here. You're looking at different things. Updates found. A new version of Arc is available. I really don't care. Go away. If I wanted a new version of Arc, I would download a new version of Arc when I use Arc. Thank you. But, so, yeah, my son and I, because I wanted to kind of get his curiosity about development, because he likes to create things. So I thought, well, let me get Unreal 4 and let's see if we can build a 3D world and see how it goes. And I mean, I had a hard time getting most things to work the way I wanted to in Unreal 4, to be quite honest. It looked like a cool engine, and there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. There's a lot of stuff you can look up. But it also relies on C##, which I can't stand. So I hold on to the old school programming, which I still know how to do, but then there's a side of me that wants to create these things. And the first concept we were trying to think of a concept of a game. And he wanted to do a universe, a space type universe type thing, sort of like Entropia universe. And I said, yeah, that's an idea. You can do something like that. And I said, but that's pretty big. Because he wanted to do massive multiplayer. And I said, well, that's probably a little too big. I said, but why don't we start with a single player game first? And I said, you and I like going to Fostoria. We're going in October. Canadian Thanksgiving. I said, why don't, I says, remember that simulator I had called Tower? And I don't know if you guys remember that too. There was a simulator out there called Tower. And it was supposed to have all kinds of new towers that you could, I bought that thing, and that was compared to the amount I spend for Run 8 compared to the amount of time I was on that. What a waste of money that was. It was very cheap in comparison, but in ratio of how much I got out of Run 8 or still get out of Run 8 compared to Tower, which I don't even think is on this computer. I think it's on my old computer system, which is dead. Um, thing was thing was a waste. It was a novelty item for a little while, and that was it. But I liked it. Tower was cool. It was a cool concept. Now you didn't see the 3D world, and I said, I love Train Dispatcher, but wouldn't it be cool to be in a place like F Tower in Fostoria and have a 3D view of the tower and maybe have the computer screens and have a first player view of the computer screens so that you can line up the routes and you know what trains are coming and all that other stuff and be able to see full 3D, great shadows, great graphics, Sunday night, the whole thing, and be able to have all the sounds and all the sights and all the look of a really cool eye candy simulation built on top of a foundation of a tower controller. I'm like, I could have fun with that for hours and keep coming back for more. And no, there's no multiplayer, and no, there's no running the trains around in that little 3D section because F Tower only controls a very small section. But there would be enough that I could have the approach for the trains coming into town, maybe a few approach blocks, and it wouldn't have to be perfectly simulated outside, but just have enough so that I'd have the approach blocks. I would have whatever was coming up next, and boom, just basically line them up and just keep on rolling. F Tower has been closed it was one of the last few manned stations that was closed for those of you not familiar with it, but Astoria, Ohio. But there's all kinds of towers all over the place. I mean, yeah, there's Colton Tower. I mean, that would be kind of boring after a while if you lined up stuff through there, but um and I mean, I like some of the old school ones with the bells and the ding ding, and the code line and sending messages back and forth from towers. There's a lot of multiplayer potential for those too. Um, but that'd be a really cool single player thing. So, I mean, where I'm getting at here, and I'm gonna wrap this up at 8:30. It's 8:18 now. I'm gonna wrap this up at 8:30 because I really want to do other things than YouTube and doing live streams because this is part of it. The thing is, and as I talked at the very beginning tonight, I want to know what you people think. I want to know if you people are sitting here watching, listening, or even care. I'll be curious of the responses I get because if I don't get the responses or if I don't get answers to some of my questions, I know people aren't paying attention for the whole time, and then I know I'm just talking to a microphone. I get a lot of views. I get about 100 views per video. I have 300 some odd subscribers. That don't mean nothing unless I know what I'm talking about because in this way it's just kind of therapy and for myself to say, this is what I'm doing. And maybe this video will be important. Maybe this will be one of those last big, huge archive videos that I do. Will I still do live streams? Will I do a live stream tomorrow night? Probably. I may continue the conversation and actually have a backdrop and do some stuff. But the way I see it is, I walk for 30 minutes at lunch. If I'm sitting there and I fell asleep last night watching YouTube, I mean, once I didn't have the session last night, suddenly I had no backup plan and I just reverted back to YouTube. And YouTube and the real world stuff, it's just getting tiring. It's the same old, same old. It's becoming just like programming. I cannot change a lot of things in the world. I cannot change the software. I cannot change what Run 8 is. Run 8 is Run 8. They're going to do whatever the hell they want to do. Yes, they're going to take some input from the community, but eventually you're stuck with what you got. The only thing I can do is program and create something. Now that said, I may do it. I may stream my local radio station here, 97.7, which might play some really cool rock music, and that suddenly, without worrying about YouTube, without worrying about making a presentation out of everything like I have been. And see, this is where I drifted over to YouTube, and then suddenly I was getting a lot of comments, and I was getting a lot of likes, and I was getting a lot of generation or interest in RTS from the YouTube channel. That isn't happening anymore, and that's probably has a lot to do with the fact that I'm not running on the California server on a regular basis. I noticed the drop shortly after that. It didn't take long. Some people actually watched me program and do the other stuff like that. Well, to be honest, and I know Mikey in particular liked it. So I hear a lot of feedback from different people, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's good to know, and if I can help those people in any way, I'll certainly do it. I like helping people. I do care to help people. I want to help people. I participate in forums. I participate in my own forum when there's posts. I try to answer emails. I check the emails once or twice a day. So I mean, I'm certainly capable of trying to help people, or trying to be somebody in the whole Run 8 community or Train Sim community who can help others. But I have to stop putting so much pressure on myself. That's the problem. When I put too much pressure on myself, then suddenly, it's not like I don't know how you say it. It almost is like I want to relax and try to get stuff done while I relax, but in reality, I could get stuff done. I'm not just talking about Run 8. I can get some of the cleaning in this house done. I could get some organizing done. I can do all kinds of crazy things. I got all kinds of time at night, but I have to take control of that time. And if Run 8 isn't what Run 8 used to be, and if the people aren't interested in what Run 8 is now or what it's become, well, things change. I was talking about the going over the Michigan Central Bridge today. That I drive over it every day. It's been abandoned since 2000. Things change. Does it suck that it's changed? Yeah, but it changes. The world changes, and there's nothing a lot of us can do about it. And yeah, there's people that are activists, and there's people that have talk shows, and there's people that have YouTube channels. A lot of people who have YouTube channels don't have day jobs. They don't have regular jobs to go to. Let them be the activists. If they want to make change in the world, let them be the change. I shouldn't have to go on YouTube for 12 hours and try to present content and really not get an idea as to what my audience really wants to begin with. And I mean, I hear it every now and then. Everyone's saying, well, yeah, you don't need to, I can't see in the dark and all this other stuff. Well, okay, well, I like to run in 24/7, so that means sometimes we run in the dark. Well, that's something, at least somebody's telling me something, but I don't know if this guy's a regular viewer or if it's just a Joe Schmo that came into one of my videos out of nowhere. Because I have so many videos and, apparently, enough likes and a few popular videos, I guess my video shows up as recommendations for Run 8 on some places. So I get that cross promotion. So people come there. I get comments on some of my older videos every now and then. It's really strange. But I had a comment the other day. I didn't quite understand what it meant, but whatever. Oh yeah, it had something to do with the engines. Now I remember what it was. I think I replied to it. Yeah, I did. But But I reply to things. I'll reply to comments on YouTube videos. I'll definitely reply to forum posts. I will reply to emails. So I'm still accessible. I'm not leaving Run 8. RTS 2, one way or another, is going to come out, whether it be myself, Ski, or somebody else, like I said. I'm not going anywhere, but I need to back off. I need to just take a deep breath and say, okay, what is it that, quit pushing against that wall. Keep, trying to, muck around and change things and waste time on trying to generate trains and all that. Hey, Florida's great, don't get me wrong. But to run Florida the way I want it, I can't run it the way Run 8 likes to do it. Florida's capable of being run, I think, the RTS way. Problem is we don't have RTS right now. And I don't know how long it's going to take. It all depends on my motivation. It depends if I really want to do it. It depends if I get on a roll. It depends if I have momentum. It depends if I have some good kicking ass rock music in the background to get me going. Maybe that's enough to get me going. Who knows? Maybe I'll program the whole damn thing tonight. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But I got to stop suddenly going to YouTube or whatever my usual thing is and sit my ass on the couch and get bored all night. I got to come up with plans. I got to come up with ideas. I got to come up with strategies. I got to come up with, I don't know what. But I'm almost there. I'm almost there with ideas. I'm almost there with, I'm already trying to change the way my son thinks. And he's the one that's got the most open mind of them all, so he can take me places, that I really don't think about. So now I need to where I'm helping him, he needs to help me, because what he can find in me is, hey Dad, I like this. Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's go this place. He loves exploring. And I mean, whether it be real world, going out in different places, exploring, exercise, whatever. Who's to say right now, if I don't have anything else I want to do, who's to say I don't get off my ass right now, 8:27 p.m., it's 22 degrees out, get off my ass and go for a walk 2 hours tonight. I could do it. This is chance of isolated showers, but chance of thunder showers. Hey, I like seeing a storm once in a while. What's the radar like? Yeah, not too bad. Nothing around me right now, so if it gets too bad, I'll run home. I can't run with beans, but hey, it's worth a shot. So anyways, that's it. As I promised and as I guaranteed, it's 8:28 p.m. I'm done talking. So I will be back tomorrow, at least tomorrow. Then I may have another talk with Mike. Depends how things go. If I like it, I'll still hang out on Tuesdays and Thursdays and do that thing. At least that'll keep me kind of in the community with the Run 8 and doing something with the servers and doing something with the live streams and giving a little bit more content. The rest of the time, I don't know. I think I have to find the kid in myself. I got to find that 9-year-old in myself and just say, hey, there's a song. It's like, Before I Let You Go. I forgot about this one. I forget the lyrics, and I'll look it up just before I leave, or before I do whatever the hell I'm going to do tonight. But there's a song called "Life Is Waiting There For You," and there's a screen telling me to get the hell going right now, because there's life right there. Stuff like that really miss doing this summer. But anyways, we'll get to it. So yeah, life is waiting there for you, and it's so true. And there's a lot more than just sitting on the couch and trying to figure out how the hell to deal with Run 8 and all its inadequacies. Great program. It's been great for over 5 years, but it ain't everything. And I gotta start treating it that way. I gotta start having a life again. So, anyways, to life, people, go out and live. It's 8:30 p.m. on August 30th, and I'm signing out. I'll be back though tomorrow to do my new normal Tuesday, Thursday thing, at least for the time being. We'll talk to you later. Please comment. Go to my forum and comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want. Let me know how you like it. Let me know how much you need this. If you need it. Let me know it's a waste of my time. I need to know that too. All right. That's it. Talk to you later.